Welcome to Live Daf, your online Daf Yomi Shir.
Shalom Aleichem, welcome back to today's Daf Yomi, which is Shekelim and Daf Dalet. We're right on top of the Amud, and actually in the middle of a Mishnah. It says the Mishnah, Ve'elu shachayovin ba kolbain. Kolbain is a joint word. Kal, light, and small addition. Kolbain, a small fee, which you had to add to your machzas hashekel. According to some shittos, we're going to discuss it later in the Gemara, it was like a transaction fee, a service fee, which was assessed on top of the machzas hashekel. So the following individuals need to add a kolbain, this added tax, this added fee, to their machzas hashekel. Ve'elu shechayavin b'kolbain, Leviyim, v'Yisraelim, v'Geirim, v'Avadim shechrarim, those freed slaves, because all these are chayav in machzas hashekel, and therefore they have to add the kolbain as well. Avaloi kohanim, v'noshim, v'Avadim, uktanim, but not kohanim, although we follow the shita that kohanim are chayav in machzas hashekel, but we give them extra cover, then we don't actually take that extra fee, not that aggressive with them, just as we don't take the mashkan, we don't obligate them in this kolbain. Noshim, avodim, aktanim are completely potter. If they want, they can give, but they're not chayiv at all. That's why we don't add this service fee, so that it wouldn't seem like they're actually chayiv to give it. So we give them the discount. All they do is a machzas shekel if they choose to give it, but no kolbain is added. Continues the Mishnah, Hashoikel al yidei koyin, al yidei ha'ish. Al yidei means on behalf of. So he's speaking that he lent them money, he laid out their machzas shekel. Hashoikel al yidei katan, al yidei koyin, on behalf of a koyin, al yidei ha'isha, al yidei eved, al yidei katan, potter. Why? Because since he's doing it for them, and they're potter from kolbain, so there's no chiv to add the kolbain to their machzas shekel. V'im shakal al yodai v'ayidei chaverei chayev. But if he chooses to bring its machzas shekel on behalf of himself and his friend, he didn't actually give it to him as a matana. He loaned him the money. So it was for himself and his friend, and he did it in one shot. He took a full shekel, so half was for himself and half for his friend. Chayav b'kolbain echad. He must add one service fee to the machzas shekel. We look at it like it's a one package deal. You get a discount. You don't have to do a kolbain per machzas shekel. Since he did it all at once, a full shekel for himself and his friend, only one kolbain is added. You have to add two kolbanis. As the Gemara later will explain the reason for this. Hanoi is saying sela v'noitel shekel. Now before we proceed, let's keep in mind that the coins were called differently in the times of the Chazal and times of the Gemara. So when we speak about a sela, it's actually 2 shkelim. We speak about a shekel. That's actually a shekel in a commonly used term. But in the time of the Torah, meaning the shekel shel Torah, of which we give half a shekel, machzas shekel, that had double the value of the shekel which was commonly used and referred to in the time of the Gemara. So again, a shekel of Torah was really worth 2 shkelim, which were commonly used in those days. And that's really what we call a sela. A sela has 2 commonly used shkelim, and a half a shekel, machzas shekel, which we are chayiv to give min HaTorah, a half a shekel shel Torah is equal in value to a shekel, which was used during those days. So in any case, nowadays, in time of the Mishnah and the Gemara, if you want to be yotzei your mitzvah, machzas shekel, how much do you give? A shekel, which is really only worth a half a shekel shel Torah. So this fellow gave a sela, which is 2 local shkelim, and he needs change. He wants to get back a shekel. So he gave 2 shkelim, he needs to get back a shekel and change, which in effect leaves him having given 1 shekel, but a local shekel, which was really only worth a half a shekel shel Torah. Hanois in sela. If one gives a sela, v'noitel shekel, and receives a shekel in return, chayiv shnei kulbanis. He needs to add 2 service fees to his transaction. The Gemara will go into the reason for this. Hashekel al yad oni. Suppose he doesn't lend the money, but he gifts it. He does machzah shekel for the sake of a poor man, ba'al yad shchenoi, for the sake of his neighbor, to increase neighborly love, va'al yad ben iroi, or just for the sake of his landsman, somebody in the city. In any case, he was doing it out of the goodness of his heart, a matana, potter. He gets a discount. No korban is added in this case. But if he merely loaned them the money, we treat it like an ordinary machzah shekel, and a korban is added. Ha'achan ha'shutfin. Suppose brothers inherited the father's nechasim, his animals, his money, and they divided the estate, and then joined back together in a partnership. Ha'achan ha'shutfin shechayavin b'korban, which in that case are chayavin korban because it's their personal money. So even though they're taking from this partnership, this joint fund, but they're giving their own machzah shekel, they're chayavin korban. But in that case, if they have some new animals born, there's no masa behema separated. The 10th of each animal, of the one of 10 animals is separated from masa behema. But that doesn't apply to animals which are owned by shutfin. So in this case, since they divided the assets, and then they joined together a new partnership, they're pata from masa behema, which doesn't apply to a shutfus. But if they use that money for their kolbain, it's personal funds, they're chayv and kolbain. So if they use it for machzah shekel, they're chayv and kolbain. But in a case where they haven't yet divided the estate, father passed away, left some property, left some animals, some money, and it's still undivided. It's considered tfusas habayis. It's still attributed to the father, even though he's no longer here. It's still considered his estate. So in that case, there's no partnership here. It's not like they divided and then joined back together. In that case, if new animals are born, every 10th is considered masa behema. Now, in this case, where they're chayv masa behema, because it's still considered their father's estate, if they should use that money for their machzas shekel, they're exempt from kolben. Why? It's as though their father donated machzas shekel on their behalf, and we know that if you gift machzas shekel to somebody else, you're pater from kolben. Okay, so we speak about kolben. How much is this added fee? V'kamahu kolben ma'a kesef. It's this coin called ma'a kesef, the Reb Meir, which was actually a 24th of a selah. So if we're giving a half a selah for machzas shekel, so it's actually an added 12th. You add a 12th. A half a ma, so you add a 24th. Mishnah spoke about the Noshim, Avodim, and Ktanim. Although they're not chayiv and they're not going to have a mashkin taken from them, but if they should choose to donate, we accept the machzah shekel from them. We don't accept from the goy or the kuti, but from the Ktanim we do. Apparently, we don't demand, we don't collect it from them. Mishnah clearly says, if they choose to donate out of the goodness of their heart, we accept it, but we don't demand it. Now, in the previous Mishnah, we said that Ktanim, well, we don't take a mashkin from them to ensure their compliance, but it seems like we are toiveya, we obligate them to do it. And here, in this Mishnah, more recent Mishnah, we speak about voluntary donation. We're not teveya. So which one is it? Do we collect from the ketana or don't we? Says it depends what age. In the early Mishnah was speaking that they already grew their pubic hair, they're already gedolim. So they're chayiv midrabbanan. We don't take a mashkin from them because they're only chayiv when they're 20, but we are teveya the machzas shekel from them. V'kan, however, in the most recent Mishnah, we're speaking about ketana who are really young. They're still before adulthood. In this case, there's no chiv even their bottom. So if they volunteer to donate, that's okay, but we don't ask it from them. Hanachiv akuti, a goy and a kuti, don't have the privilege, they don't have the opportunity to contribute, even if they decide to donate, we don't accept it. Amar Abati Pata, we must interpret this Mishnah, which lumps together the kuti with the nachri, Kama the Amar, and according to the Shita, that kuti can nachri. If you have a Shiloh, a kuti clan, they underwent some sort of gerus, and the conversion was questionable, and some Shitas consider them Yisraelim, and some consider them to be Goyim. Apparently this Mishnah, which bundles together kuti with Goy, holds that they have a din of a Goy. This Palgam, we actually have Machlokes, kuti kanachri, the Rabbi. Rabbi holds a kuti has the same status as a Goy. He's regarded completely like a Yisrael. Our Mishnah apparently is following the Shitas Rabbi, which regards a kuti like a Goy. Amar Belezer, no, Masnisa benachrim. Let's delete kuti from our Mishnah. Our Mishnah is simply speaking about a Goy, not a kuti. But from a kuti, perhaps we can accept a machzah shekel. He has a din like a Yisrael. Says the Gemara, bekutim loy. Yeah, this halacha does not apply to kutim, only by a guy. A kuti is considered like Yisrael. V'tani kain, we actually learned likewise in the Brisa. Adam, the pasuk in the beginning of Vayikra speaks about an Adam ki yakriv mikan korban, a person who will be makriv a korban. The word Adam is coming l'rabbi sagerim, they can bring a korban. Mikem, from you, only some of you can give, and others not. Lohitzi is a mummer, habitual transgressor, a mummer. He cannot bring a korban. But a kuti, he's not a mummer. He's eligible to bring karbanis and to bring his machzah shekel. Says the Gemara, Masnisin pligi al Rabbi Lezer. Our very Mishnah seems to be in disagreement with Rabbi Lezer, who maintains that a kuti has the din of Yisrael. Therefore, delete kuti from the Mishnah. Only a nachri is discussed here. Only a nachri cannot send a matzah shekel. Because if we take a close look at our Mishnah, we see otherwise. The Mishnah continues, Ein mekablen miyadam, we don't accept from them. Kini zavim v'zavos, the various tumor-related karbanis, birds that a zav would bring, or a zava, kini yolas that a yoledus would bring. Now, if we're speaking about a goy, a nachri can't relate to tumah v'tahara. That's specific to a Yisrael who has kedusha. So corresponding to the kedusha, he has a potential for tumah. But a guy has no tumah. Apparently, says the Gemara, was speaking not about nachrim. Rather, the chiddush is that a kuti cannot send these karbanis. You would think a kuti is like a Yisrael. No, a kuti has been like a goy and cannot send any karbanis. This is a raya, not like Rabbi Lezer. He can't send karbanis, he can't send machzah shekel. Says him, okay, but we still have a problem. But according to this, the first part of the Mishnah tells us that a goy, who is the primary focus here, a goy, and on account of goy we also mention a kuti, which is a different variety of a goy, they can't send machzah shekel. That's the ratio. Focusing primarily on a goy. And then the Sefer, discussing karbanis, a goy is not in the parsha, he's not in the context at all. So we move away from goy, we focus on kutim, which they weren't really the primary focus of the topic of this Mishnah. It seems a bit strange that we'd move away from nachrim and discuss just kutim. So well, yeah, apparently that must be pshat in the Mishnah. Keinu, Reisha ben nachrim, in the Reisha we discuss primarily goyim. And on account of the goy we speak about a kuti as well. They both can't send the machzah shekel. The sefer kutim. But in the sefer we move on to kutim, who become the primary focus, the topic of conversation. And the chiddush is, and even they cannot send in karbanis because they're regarded like goyim. Omar Rabbi Yehuda. Let's proceed with the topic of contributing to the Beis Hamikdash, to the building fund, to the maintenance of the Beis Hamikdash. When do we allow goyim to participate, and when do we disallow their participation? We have machlokes between Rabbi Yehuda and Rish Lakish. Omar Rabbi Yehuda, betchila ein mekabel mehen. Initially, meaning for the building fund, we're actually erecting the Beis Hamikdash. When a makabel, ein makabel mehen loy davar mesuyim, we don't accept donations from goyim, whether we're speaking about a davar mesuyim, a specific item, something which will be visible and be identified with the owner, with the goy, with the donor, a chandelier. We don't accept that. We don't want them to boast and point to it and say, well, this is the guy's It's gnai, it's unbefitting for the Beis HaMikdash. V'lo davar she'eini mesuyim. Nor do we accept even something which is unspecified and unidentified. Even funds or Kabir Eda says salt, water, things which will be consumed. We don't accept from the Goyim. And the reason is because perhaps there's a scheme here. They're trying to fund the Beis HaMikdash building, and then once we rely on their funding, they'll suddenly abruptly stop the funding and disrupt the avodah of the Beis HaMikdash and the building. So you don't accept anything initially. However, at the end, meaning once the Beis HaMikdash is standing, it's just a question of maintenance. We'll accept something which is unspecified, something which will just be consumed and will not stand out, will not be identified with the donor. For instance, money, for instance, supplies which get used up, that we accept. But not something mesuyim, something which is mesuyim, is specific and remains intact. That's not roy, it's not chashivas, it's a gnai to the Beis HaMikdash to have that contributed by a guy. So according to Rabbi Yehuda, we don't accept anything except for maintenance, and if it's something which is eini mesuyim, which is not it's not something that stands out. Rav Shimon Lakish Amar, he says we never accept anything, whether initially or whether at the end, or just for maintenance purposes. We don't accept even not a davar mesuyim, and even something which is not mesuyim. Apparently, according to Rav Shimon Lakish, even maintenance is considered like contributing to the building of Beis HaMikdash. You don't maintain the property, just it gets dilapidated and falls apart. So maintenance is tantamount to having a part in the actual building of the Beis HaMikdash. Therefore, we refuse any contributions. Masnisin pliga al Rabbi Yehuda. We have a Mishnah or a Brisa which seems to be inconsistent to Rabbi Yehuda. Some delete the first ain. Ein makabel mehen hegdish unadava lebedek habayis. We don't accept from the goyim anything. Hegdish and adava, even for bedek habayis, for maintenance purposes. We do accept for maintenance if it's not mesuyam and visible. Pasala, he will interpret this brisa. Yeah, it could be applied to initially or even later during the maintenance. Ubavadavar mesuyam. This price is speaking about a davar mesuyim, a chandelier, a fixture, something which is visibly donated by the guy. Even Rabbi Yehuda agrees that's not allowed. Let's skip the parentheses. Shimon Lakish Amar, bein betchila b'mesayif, whether initially or later on, a makabel man lo davar mesuyim. We don't accept anything from the guy. Mas nisan pligi av Shimon Lakish. The Mishnah, which seems to contradict Shimon Lakish, the Tani. The Mishnah says, Hakol Shav, and all agree. There's a machlokes between our Meir and Rabbi Yehuda there regarding erchen. So there are two ways to assess a person. Is erech, a standard formula provided by the Torah. You could commit to donate erech of a person to the Beis HaMikdash. And there's something called a neder and a dava, where we speak about market value. You're committing to give the value of a person, how much you can sell him for as a slave, and that you give to the bedek havayis. So when it comes to a goy, Rameya holds he cannot commit himself to erchen. Rabbi Yehuda says he can, but hakol shav, and all agree shehi noider. Goyim can be noider, they can promise, they can pledge v'nidar, and one can pledge on them. Meaning, a person could pledge to give the value of the goy to the bedek habayis. In any case, we see that the goy can be noider, can donate to the Beis HaMikdash, to the maintenance fund. There's a kasha on Shimon Lakish who says we don't accept anything from the goy. Pasal oila. He interprets the Mishnah in reference to an oila, a carbon oila he can give. He can contribute to the building fund, but we learn from a pasuk ish gid a neder. The extra ish is coming to add a goy. He has the ability to bring a neder, a carbon oila. Nicha noidrin oila. That explains noidrin. Noidrin could be an oila. He promised an oila. Nidaran oila, but the Mishnah says nidaran. They are the subject of a neder, which would seem to indicate, if we're speaking about oila, that somebody else committed them to bring an oila. Why would the guy comply? Somebody else came over and obligated him to bring an oila. Would he go ahead and bring an oila? Nidaran can mean oila? No, that doesn't make sense. Says the Gemara, actually we're speaking about oila. We're not speaking about sending money, which is not accepted according to Rishon Malakish. We're speaking about sending in an oila. Nidar means he promised, he initiated the promise, the pledge to bring an oila. Nidar is just another type, another variety of his commitment. Ella rather was speaking Kishama Yisrael. Harei Olai oila. The Nachri overheard the Yisrael saying, I'm going to bring an oila. V'shama Nachri overheard that. V'amar, and he said, you know what? That's a good idea. Ma'asha Amar ze olai. This commitment, I'm going to apply to myself as well. So he copycatted the Yisrael. So in reality, he was Nidar Oila, which is accepted from a guy. The reason why he called it Nidar is because he was simply seeking to emulate the Yid. Just another form of him committing to bring an Oila. But of course, when it comes to sending in money, that's not accepted according to Rish Lakish. Says more fine. So he committed to an Oila. Ve'ela maybe iman nesachim, but isn't he going to add nesachim, the flour, the wine, the oil, which is necessary, a necessary component of the Oila? U'moisa nesachim loyal klisharis inun? Many times there's some leftover, extra flour, and there was a standard procedure in the Beis HaMikdash where they would direct the extra nesachim, they would convert it to be used for klisharis, to buy pots and pans for the Beis HaMikdash. If that's the case, then it turns out that the guy ended up contributing to the klisharis. According to Rish Lakish, it doesn't work. He's not allowed to contribute. Says more nimtza, maybe davar mesuyim, but this is a kasha of Rabbi Yechanan. Rabbi Yechanan agrees you can't bring a davar mesuyim like a klisharis, and here the end result is that a klisharis who procured from the funds of the guy, from the leftover nesachim, and that's a kasha on all shittas. Says the Gemara, let's answer the kasha with another kasha. Heisif, Rabbi Yosi bar Rabbi Bun, he asked the kasha, and this will serve to answer the first kasha. But haven't we learned in that same Mishnah, Nerochen v'Orchen? Right? The Mishnah that we just mentioned about Nidar and Nidaran begins by discussing Nerochen v'Orchen. Now, Orchen again means that the guy would say, I'm going to give the value of that fellow to the Beis HaMikdash. Standard formula which was established by a Torah to determine the value of a person. That's a clear Mishnah. I'm not speaking about Korbanis. I'm speaking about sending in money to the Beis HaMikdash. Loy the Bedek HaBayis inun? Isn't it directed to the Bedek HaBayis? And that's certainly a kasha, because you're using it for the building fund. So it's a kasha, for sure kasha Rish Lakish. So on the kasha of Nidar, we answered, well, we're speaking about an oila, which is okay. A carbon he could send. But here we have Orchen, which is money to Bedek HaBayis. Doesn't it go to the Bedek HaBayis? Says the Gemara, apparently you must answer as follows. Haich ma'adat omar taman. Just like you say over there. The reason why you can accept it for the Bedek HaBayis from the guy, because that's not what he had in mind. He intended on bringing something for the Mizbeach, la Shemayim, a korban. That's where he really wanted his money to be directed. And on its own, by default, where does it go? It gets funneled into the Bedek HaBayis fund. But it wasn't a direct donation to Bedek HaBayis from the guy. He thought it's going to go to Mizbeach. Therefore it's okay. Likewise, we're going to say over here, when the Mishnah speaks about Nidar, forget about carbon. It's not carbon. We're speaking that he's promising to give the value of a person, and he's sending it to the Beis HaMikdash. But his intent is to give it to the Shemayim, to the Mizbeach. And on its own, it's going to get funneled into the Bedek HaBayis. Therefore, it's not considered a davar mesuyim. It's not considered a direct donation to the building fund, and it's okay according to all shittas, Rabbi Yehuda and Rish Lakish. The problem is when he's donating directly for maintenance, for davar mesuyim, for the building fund, but if he's donating for the Mizbeach, and the fact is, the rules in the Beis HaMikdash say, well, we have a system how things work. We take those funds and we don't use it for a carbon. We use it for Bedek HaBayis purposes. That's where Erchen goes. That's where Nadarim go. So since it's not a direct donation from the goy to the kabayis, it's no longer identified with the goy. It's not attributed to him, and it's not considered as though he participated in the actual building of the Beis Hamikdash or the maintenance. Now we're going to look for a source for a Shimon Lakish. He says that a guy cannot contribute regardless. Building, maintenance, he's out of the picture. Ma'avadla of Shimon Lakish. Where did he get the halacha from? Patala. He interpreted from the following pasuk: Lo yilachem velanu, live in his base l'elkeinu. It's not for you and us to jointly build Hashem's home. You don't have to have a chelik in the building. Rab Chizki Rab Simon Shah, Rab Chizki Rab Simon suggested as follows: Me'ata, based on this, ein mekabel men lamas hamayim. We can't even accept from the goyim funds to construct or to maintain the amas hamayim, the stream running through the city, even for municipal needs. They can't contribute for civil purposes. Even that, why? As we're going to see a pasuk, lamas hamayim l'choy mosir, to shore up the walls of the city. It's towers. Why? Al Shem, because we have a pasuk. V'lochem and chelik. There's a pasuk in Nehemiah. You don't not meant to have a chelik. With stock of zikaron being Yerushalayim. So not only can't they contribute to the Beis Hamikdash, but they cannot even contribute it to the building and maintaining of Yerushalayim. So conclusion, let's just stop for a moment. We discussed the concept of the kalboin, we discussed the ketanim. Up until bar mitzvah, they're pata completely. From a mitzvah until 20, they're chayiv midrabanan, but amanat Torah. We learned about a nachri, who cannot contribute to machzas shekel. A kuti, that's questionable. Depends whether he's considered like a goy or a yid. We learned about a nachri contributing to the Beis Hamikdash. According to Shimon Lakish, never. He's not allowed to participate at all. As we learned from a pasuk, according to Rabbi Yehuda, generally not. But for maintenance purposes, he can contribute as long as it's not a davar mesuyim. He's just contributing funds or some type of something which will be consumed, paper towels, water, salt, which will not be visibly identified with the goy donor. Continues the Gemara. Let's go back to the concept of kalbain. Let's skip over the parentheses to the words masnis. Masnis, our Mishnah, which tells us that all machzas hashekel givers will have to add that service fee, the kolbain, even if you brought exact change. He happened to have exactly a machzas shekel and gave it. There was no tircha, there was no change received, there was not much going on, there was not much servicing. He will have to give a kolbain. Masnis, our Mishnah, the Reb Meir. Apparently, he's following Shittas Reb Meir, who says that the kolbain is not only because of a service fee. Rather, there's another purpose as well. Masnis, the Reb Meir, the Amar Reb Meir, Kishem sheshiklu Torah. Just as the actual machzas shekel is mandated in the Torah, kach kolbain Torah. Likewise, the kolbain, that additional fee assessed to the machzas shekel, is mandated min haTorah. Why? Because Savar Reb Meir, b'noisen shikli shalom, Reb Meir holds even if he gives a complete shekel. So we're speaking about nowadays shekel, in times of the Gemara, which is really a half a shekel shel Torah, which is exact change. So he's not looking for any transactions, any services to be done for him. He's giving exact change. Even in that case, shu chayv b'kalbain, he has to add the kalbain. Why? Davar Meir, kimi matbe'ah shel eish. Hashem pulled out from under the kisei hakavod something which appeared like a fiery coin. And he displayed it to Moshe. And told him, Zayitnu. This is what Klal Yisrael should give for machzas shekel. Exactly like this. Now the concern is that perhaps our shkolim today might be a bit rubbed off, might have some impurities in them. In which case they don't have the same value as that machzas shekel, which was displayed by Hashem to Moshe. And therefore, to cover that loss of value, we add a kolbain, a VAT, value-added tax. We add another service fee, not a service fee, an added coin to account for the loss, for the impurity, to account for the missing value. So we have machlokes between Rav Meir and Tanna Kama regarding the reason, the time of the korban. According to Tanna Kama, as we're going to see soon, the reason is related to the transaction. It's a service fee. You're coming and you're asking for change, etc. You have to add some type of service fee, perhaps to be used to pay for their salaries, the money changers and the bankers. And the Rambam says that they have to incur expenses. They take these small coins, Masar Shekel, and they have to convert it to larger coins. So all that involves hitzos and expenses, and therefore you have to go ahead and pay for that service. In that case, if you brought exact change, according to Tanna Kama, you're potter. There's no service fee required. Whereas according to Rav Meir, any time you bring a Masar Shekel, even if it's exact change, we're concerned about loss of value. There's some impurity here. You have to account for that and add a korban. Continues the Gemara. No son sella little shekel. The Mishnah spoke about a case where he came to the money changer with a sella, which is really a full shekel, and he wants change. Little shekel to take a shekel. So a seller has 2 nowadays shkolim. So now he's owed change, 1 shekel, right? Chayiv shnei kulbonos. So he has to add shnei kulbonos. Why a double fee? What's going on here? Why would he have to give 2 kulbonos? Amar Blaza de Rameir. It's fellowship is Rameir. The Rameir Amar echad shekel shu noisen. You have to add 1 transaction fee on account of the shekel that he's giving. Because Rameir holds you always have to add something. We're concerned about impurities. You have to add another transaction fee because you're accepting change. It's a service fee that has to be added. So in total you have 2 kulbonos added to the machzah shekel. The Sanya. Elu chayavim b'kolbon. We're going to prove this from our Mishnah. The Rameir holds that in addition to the service fee, there is the impurity supplement. So the Mishnah speaks about the list of individuals who are chayiv b'kolbon for chulu, and the Mishnah gives us a case where he is bringing a machzah shekel for himself and his friend. How many kolbonos does he have to add? Tanna Kama says kolban echad, 1 kolban. Why? Because it was really only 1 transaction here. Right? He brought 1 seller and gave it to the gizbar, gave it to the shulchani on behalf of himself and his friend. We treat it like 1 transaction, and only 1 kolban is added. For Rav Meir, Rabbeis kolbanos. Rav Meir says 2 kolbanos are added. Apparently, Rav Meir holds the point of the kolban is to account for the impurities. Therefore, as the Takan Chadin explains, in this case, Rav Meir holds there's no service fee because since he gave a full sell on account of himself and his friend, and he didn't ask for change in the return, it's not considered like a transaction. It's like a lump sum payment, a wholesale deal. It's not considered like he asked for change because he gave a shekel and gave a sell and left it there. Tanna Kama holds it's considered like an ordinary transaction, even though he didn't ask for any change in return. We don't differentiate between this case and other cases. Perhaps the point is to avoid, everybody can do the same. They'll just stand there until somebody else shows up. They'll give a seller together and they'll avoid the kolban. Not the Chachamim established, according to Tanna Kama, Chachamim established that in all cases, when you give something which is not exact change, you have to add a kolban. Rabbi disagrees. He says in this case, there was no transaction, there was no change given in return. Everything went straight to the shulchani, the entire seller for his friend and himself. So he disagrees with the service fee added. There's no service fee, but there's still 2 kolbanos. Why? The answer is because the kolban is not only a service fee, there's another purpose to it, to account for impurities. Anytime you give a machzah shekel, you add a kolban. So when this fellow gives a seller for himself and his friend, each one has to add a kolban for his machzah shekel to make up for the impurities. So you see clearly the Rav Meir subscribes to that additional tam of kolban to account for impurities. So at this point in the Gemara, we have 3 cases, 3 machlokes between Rav Meir and Tanna Kama. In case number 1, exact change. he's contributing exactly a machzah shekel with no need to trouble the banker. Exact change, according to Tanakama, is potter from a korban. There's no transaction fee, no service fee added. According to Rabbi Meir, the point of korban is also related to impurities, and a korban has to be added regardless. So again, exact change, according to Tanakama, is potter from korban. According to Rabbi Meir, is chayiv. Case number 2, he's contributing a full shekel for himself and his friend. According to Tanakama, there's one korban. It's one transaction fee. According to Rabbi Meir, in this case, actually no transaction fee added. There's no change received, but there's 2 korbanos. Why? For himself and his friend. Have to add some value to account for the impurities. So again, in the case where he's shekel for himself and his friend, according to Tanakama, there's one korban. Account the transaction. According to Rabbi Meir, skip the transaction fee. There's a korban for each machzah shekel to account for impurities. And finally, the third case. He approaches the banker with a full shekel and asks for half in return, for change. According to Tanakama, the transaction fee, 1 korban is added. According to Rabbi Meir, in this case, 2 korbanos are added. 1 on account of the transaction fee, and number 2 on account of the impurities. Umar Rav held Divrei HaKoili. He generally follows Rabbi Lezer's approach, but he disagrees on one account. This halacha, that when you give a selah and get a shekel in return, according to Rav, when the Mishnah says there are chayiv 2 korbanos, even in Tanakama would agree there are 2 korbanos, and actually according to Rabbi, there are 3 korbanos. Why? Because Rav holds an interesting point. He says, when you give a selah and ask for a shekel in return, the Chachamim treated it like 2 separate transactions. Might be a bit hard to understand. The Tanakh Chadin explains it at length, and the Shulchan Aruch Asid says, there was a special chumrah the Chacham added, Chacham implemented here. They wanted to treat each thing separately. They wanted to make things clear cut. Whatever appears like a transaction has its own korban. So when he gave his selah and took a shekel in return as change, you did 2 things. Firstly, you gave him a shekel without exact change. That's 1 service fee. And number 2, you got something in return. You broke up your selah, you got change in return, you got another benefit from it. So there are 2 separate service fees assessed here, and all agree there are 2 korbanos at a minimum. Rameh adds a 3rd one on account of the impurity. Standard korban for concern about impurity. So Rav maintains that when our mission says, when you give a selah and ask for a shekel in return, there are 2 korbanos, that's agreed upon by you all. There's a minimum of 2 korbanos. There are 2 transaction fees applied. Rameh will hold actually a 3rd one on account of the impurity. Umar Rav, Divrei HaKoili, all agree to this halacha. Domer Rabbi Meir, echad shekel shu noisen, ve'echad shekel shu noitel. You have to add 1 korban on account of the shekel that you're giving to the Beis HaMikdash, which was not exact change, and they had to break it down for you. That's 1 service fee. Ve'echad shekel shu noitel, another service fee on account of the change that you're receiving in the return. And a 3rd one, ve'echad l'divrei Torah, 1 to account for the din Torah, which obligates adding a bit to make up for lost value. Al daite de Rav gimel korbanos inon. According to Rav, there are 3 korbanos. Also, Rabbi Yirmiyah came, and Rav Shmuel, Rabbi Yitzchak, and they said b'shem Rav, indeed, that there are a total of 3 korbanos according to Rabbi Meir. Shleishel korbanos inon, echad shekel shu noisen, 1 on account of the one that he's giving, which is not exact change. Ve'echad shekel shu noit, 1 on account of the fact that he got change in return. That's another service fee. Ve'echad dvar Torah, 1 to make up the difference in value, to make sure that it equals the true value, the machzah shekel shel Torah. Let's summarize this sugi. We discussed adding a korban, which is either a ma or chatzi ma, depending on Rameh or Rabbanon. We seem to have 2 approaches to korban. Tanakama holds it's a chiluf, it's a transaction fee. According to Rameh, there are 2 reasons. Number 1, transaction fee. Number 2, zeh yitnu. It has to conform to the value of the Torah's machzah shekel. We're concerned about impurities, or perhaps the fact that perhaps rubbed out coin is not worth as much as a full coin, therefore we have to add the korban. Let's go through the cases. If if you come with exact change, machzas shekel for yourself. According to Tanakama, there's no transaction fee. There's no kolboin. According to a mayor, you have to add a kolboin to make up for the impurities. If he brought a complete shekel on behalf of himself and his friend, Tanakama maintains there's one kolboin, because there's a transaction taking place. It wasn't an exact change, and we apply the transaction rule here as well. Even though he's not getting back change, we apply the same rule as we do to every transaction involving a non-exact change, machzas shekel. Rameya holds there are two kolboinos. He doesn't hold a transaction fee in this case because there was no change received, and it's just a lump deal. He got a good deal. He made two machzas shekels in one coin. We don't assess a transaction fee. Rather, we have two kolboinos because him and his friend both need to add something to account for the lost value of the machzas shekel. Now we have a case where he brings a full shekel and gets a half in return as change. According to Rabbi Lazar, Tanakama holds there's one service fee added here, one kolboin is added. According to Rabbi Meir, you need to add another kolboin as well. Aside from a service fee kolboin, you need to add a kolboin to make up for lost value for the impurities in his machzas shekel. Rav maintains he has a chiddush. According to Tanakama, there are two kolboinos. There were two transactions that took place here. Number one, he gave a machzas shekel, which is not exact change, and need to be broken down to provide that for the hegdish. And number two, he also broke down the shekel so that he has change in return. So two separate things took place. Two kolboinos are added, two service fees. According to our mayor, atop these two, we have a third one, another kolboin to account for impurity. We learned that if a person gives his machzas shekel on behalf of a kohen, an isha, ever the katan, he's part from kolboin, because the kohen is held in higher regard. We machabed him, just like we don't take a mashkin from him. We don't obligate him to give a kolboin. An isha, ever the katan, because they're really potter from machzas shekel. If he gives a gift, machzas shekel for his friend, we also give him a discount. We don't assess the kolboin. Regarding brothers, achan shutfin, who divided the Yerusha amongst them. So if they were chaylik the Yerusha, they split the assets amongst themselves. And now they go ahead and they rejoin, they join together as partners, and they use that money for the machzas shekel. They're chayiv in kolboin because it's their own personal funds. Why should they not be chayiv? If they never divvied up the nechasim, it's still considered their father's asset, and they're part from kolboin because we treat it as though their father is treating them to machzas shekel. As we just said, if you give a matana to your friend, you're part from kolboin. Now we're going to go into this topic of achan hashut. Continues the Gemara, achan vashut. Shechayavim b'kolboin. In a situation where the achan hashut are chayiv in kolboin, uptur b'masa behema, and the part of masa behema. Well, when does that happen? What is the situation which obligates kolboin and exempts masa behema? Explains the Gemara. B'shecholku. First they divvied up the nechasim, the animals, the money, and then they rejoined together as partners. V'chazav nishtatfu. Which in this case, the money is considered partnership money. The animals are considered something which belongs to a shutfin, and shutfin are potter for masa behema. But since it's their money, when they use it for machzas shekel, they're personally contributing. It's nobody doing it on account of somebody else. It's their own machzas shekel, nechayiv and kolboin. But we have a flip case where shechayavin b'masa behema uptur b'na kolboin. But we have a case where they're chayiv b'masa behema and they're potter from kolboin. What is that speaking about? B'shaloi cholku. Well, they never divided the assets amongst themselves. It's still sitting with the way it was when the father passed away. Where in that case, it's considered part of the father's estate. There's no shutfus here. And therefore, if there are new animals born, they have to separate the masa behema. In that case, if they decided to use that money for the machzas shekel of the brothers, there's no kolboin added, because it's as though the father is giving machzas shekel on behalf of his sons, and we just learned, if you gift a machzas shekel to somebody else, there's no kolboin added. Omar Rabbi Lezer, this halacha, that when the brothers split the assets and then rejoined together as partners, we consider them to be shutfin. We don't say, well, they're back to their old state. They reverted back to Tfusas Habayis. It's considered back their father's estate. No. Each one contributed his own personal assets to the partnership. It's considered a new entity, a new partnership. And therefore, they're pata for masabim. When do we say that? Says Rabbi Lezer, that's only in a very specific case. Now we're speaking of the father left behind some young goats, gdoyim, some more mature goats, tiyashim. Theoretically, we have two brothers. Each one deserves half of the younger ones, half of the older ones. Right? But what happened was that they decided to split it not according to a variety, rather he took all the gdayim and he took all the tiyashim. So they made a deal with each other, an exchange. Instead of me taking half the gdayim and half the tiyashim, let you have all the tiyashim, and instead I'll take the other half of the gdayim. In that case, says Rabbi Lezer, it assumes new status. This is not the original Yerusha. This is not the way it was meant to be. All the gdayim were not designated for Reuven, all the tiyashim for Shimon. It was their personal deal. They have a right to do so, it's fine. But they have now broken up the Yerusha. It's no longer considered the original Yerusha as it was left over by their father. In this case, says Rabbi Lezer, if they divided it up in this manner and then they decided to rejoin together as partners, it's considered a new partnership. That's not considered to have been reverted back to its old state because it was already reconfigured. It's like when you take a puzzle. So if it's a clean puzzle, you take two pieces, disassemble them, and then you reassemble, and it's back to square one, the way it was before. But in a case where you redesign those pieces, and then you go and you reattach them, it's a new puzzle. Likewise here, says Rabbi Lezer, this halacha that when they rejoin together as partners is considered a new partnership. It's not considered the old Yerusha. That's only shechok gdoyim k'neget yashim. They split in a manner where Reuven took gdoyim in lieu of the tiyashim that he let his brother take. So he took all the gdoyim, or tiyashim k'neget gdoyim, and Shimon took all the tiyashim, which corresponded, some of them corresponded to his gdoyim, which he let his brother take. So he took all the gdoyim, he took all the tiyashim, they made a deal. They reconfigured the chalokim of the Yerusha. And then they rejoined together. It's a new partnership. But suppose they split it perfectly, based on variety, based on the types of assets here. He took 5 gdayim, his brother took 5 gdayim. He took 5 tiyashim, and his brother 5 tiyashim. In that case, they didn't disrupt the Yerusha. This is the way it was meant to be. Rabbi Lezer holds yesh breira. It can now be determined that this is what Hashem had in mind during the Misas of Av. This is what he inherited. This is what they were supposed to get. There was no exchange. There was no deal here. This was meant for him. This part was meant for him. In this case of Rabbi Lezer, even if they divide it and then they rejoin together, it's as though they're back to square one. It resumes the status of Yerusha, and it's not considered a shutfus. It's considered like their father's asset, and it's chayv masabema. Hu chelkai mishar rishayna. This is his part from the first moment. This was designated and destined for him. They didn't rearrange things. He simply disassembled the puzzle cleanly. He took apart. Now they reassembled it. It's back to its original status. It's considered Yerusha, and not a shutfus, and therefore it's chayv masabema. Rabbi Lezer holds yesh breira. The part that he took was destined for him. The part that he took was destined for him. They didn't reconfigure anything. They simply took their part in the Yerusha, and then when they rejoined together, it's as though they went back to their fathers. It's as though it's their father's estate again. And it's chayiv v'masabim. Rabbi Yehuda disagrees. He holds ein breira. Even if they split it evenly, he took half of this, and he took the other half. He took half of this, he took the other half of... It's considered a reconfiguration. You don't know that necessarily this was meant for you and that for him. You exchanged amongst yourself. You dealt amongst yourself as though you purchased one from the other. I let you have my part, instead I took your part. We made an exchange. And therefore, each one now acquires new assets. This is not considered the Yerusha. It's like he purchased it on the market. It's called the Lakuach. Even if he took goats corresponding to other one's goats, and they split some Tiyashim neged the other Tiyashim. So they split all types of the assets equally. They're regarded like purchasers, like they bought from each other. And even currently it's pater from Masa, because something which was bought is pater from Masa Behema. Kahud the Tanina, as we went in the Mishnah, the Tanin Taman, we learned over there, Halakuach, there's a Mishnah in Bechiris, something which was purchased, Matana, or an animal was given by Matana, pater from Masa Behema. We learned this from Sukkim. If it was purchased or gifted, this animal is pater from Masa Behema. Says Rabbi Yehuda, ain't brera, just because they split it equally. Reuben took some Gedoyim and Shimon did. Reuben took some Tiyashim and so did Shimon. Inevitably there was a reconfiguration, a rearrangement of assets. There was an exchange. He took mine, I took his. We don't know really this was meant for you and that for him. Therefore it's all considered exchanged and bought and purchased and dealt. And therefore, even currently, they're pater from Masa Behema. Certainly if they rejoin together as partners, of course, it's called a new partnership. It doesn't revert back to the old status of Yerusha, of Tfisas Habayis, of father's estate. That's long gone. It's long been disrupted. So conclusion, Kontra Blezer, Yesh Brera. If they split it evenly, down the middle, he takes part of the G'dayim, he takes part of the G'dayim, etc. That's considered destined for him, designated for him. And if they rejoin together, it's as though the Yerusha went back to its former status. It's not called the Shutfis, and the Chayiv Masa Behema. Rabbi Yehuda is just the opposite. Even if they split it equally down the line, it's considered like a kucha, it's like they purchased from each other, and this animal, even currently, is pater from Masa Behema, as we learned in the Mishnah in Bechiris. So in summary, let's review today's daf. We learned about the concept of kolboin. We learned that the katan from bar mitzvah until 20 is chayav midrabbana b'na'amin HaTorah. A nachri cannot contribute. That's pashat. Machzah shekel is meant to fund the korbanos tzibur, in which he has no chelik. A kuti is a question whether it's considered like a goy Yisrael. Rav Shimon Lakish says a nachri can never contribute at all to building or maintaining of the Beis Hamikdash. Rabbi Yehuda says if it's just maintenance, it's not a davar mesuyim, something visible, that's okay. We discussed kolban at length, and there were two reasons for kolban, whether a transaction fee or kontra meir. There's another factor to account for impurities in the machzah shekel. We learned that brothers sometimes are chayiv in Masa Behema, sometimes are pater, sometimes are chayiv in kolban, and sometimes are pater. And we concluded with the machlekes, whether we say yesh brera or ein brera. Kol tov and atzlacha rab.